episode of That Scuffed Up. This would be, I guess, episode 36, 35, doesn't matter. We're doing it in the same week, so it doesn't really too much matter. But we are in the middle of the week as we are talking today. Obviously, we just came out with an episode not too long ago, but we have to talk about week 8 because the playoffs are not happening next week. They're happening basically the next day this podcast comes out, or the day of, whichever way not we decide to do it. But we have to talk about week 8 stuff and give our predictions like we always love to do on this show. And of course, Steven is also here joining the show as well as my co-host as well. How are you doing, Steven? And what did you think so far about the games yesterday?
We're here. It's Wednesday right now as we're recording this. So, we had to get this out quickly because we didn't want to make predictions because we didn't know who all the teams were going to be that are in the playoffs. So, doing this now kind of like episode 36-ish, I guess you could call it. But just here a little shorter one, just talk about the playoff predictions and with the week 8 results and stuff like that. So some interesting games last night. Some playoff implications were obviously made, and some different changes were made to the playoff bracket as well. So things will be interesting there.
Indeed, it did, and it will be. So let's get started off with some of our Division One stuff and get into that because obviously the first game was very integral to how this picture would basically play out and what it would look like for the playoffs. So, in that, I'm speaking about the Shepherd's Pie and OC Wiffles of LA game. We touched on this last episode. We talked about how this is a do or die game for both of these teams. And you look at the score, 15-7. Shepherd's Pie definitely went off in this game, knocking off OC Wiffles of LA. They missed the playoffs for the second straight season. Still looking for that first chance to get into the playoffs. Just almost a step there, but not able to finish the season out with the W, so they will miss the playoffs once again this season. Shepherd's Pie right in the mix.
Yeah, as we mentioned, this game was what determined the final playoff spot, the 4th seed for Division One. Shepherd's Pie got off to a real quick start. I think they had back-to-back home runs off James Lee to start off the game. And then from then, they were just able to keep hitting. Having Matt Hornish back was huge for them. We talked about it a little bit. Would he be there? Would he not be there? Obviously he was there, and I think he had 2 or 3 home runs on the night as well. He was a big addition that the other Wolves of OC weren't quite. OC Wolves of LA, I should say, they weren't quite ready for. This game was 15-2 at one point. Went to the 6th inning, and OC Wiffles of LA were able to get some runs back, made it a 15-7. But Shepherd's Pie, they do get the big victory. They move ahead of OC Wolves of LA and move ahead of them based off of the head-to-head record, which is the 3rd tiebreaker. Which I've talked about in some of the previous games. OC Wiffles lost to Shepherd's Pie the first time off of a walk-off home run when OC Wiffles were up by a few runs, and had they won that game, then this game would not have mattered at all. But OC Wiffles bit unlucky with their results, but today Shepherd's Pie just got them.
Certainly did, and I mean, obviously for OC Wiffles another tough season once again, but there's a lot of really good positives that came out of this throughout this season. Obviously we saw some great improvements from some of these guys. They got Ethan Raffman, and they're just right there on the doorstep. They just weren't able to get through the doors ultimately, but they're a very talented group of guys, and I think they're just honestly a few steps just right behind that doorway, just to get a foot in the door, and that's what they need for next season for sure. And I honestly think they had a better season than they've had last one. They just obviously the talent is definitely there. Maybe if they get one more person, potentially doesn't. I mean, they got the right group of guys to do it. The pitching is looking a little bit better. Definitely need to shore up on that a bit as well. But they've had themselves a better season than what we've seen. So great improvements on all sides of the board there.
Yeah, and I know they've talked about possibly trying to bring another guy or two in there, and I've been working on that with them to help figure that out. But James still did very well. Ethan Raffman was a big addition to them. And going into this last week, he was leading the league in on base percentage. I thought it was me, but with a 610 on base percentage. But Ethan Raffman had a 619 on base percentage, just finding his way on base a lot and things like that. So. I think they'll continue. I think they'll continue to get better, and watch out if they get one more elite pitcher. That's going to be a very scary team. At this point, that team's kind of off to a better start than the other Wolves OC were when they first started. I remember my second season, we finished eighth out of nine teams and barely won 3 games. So 3 games in a 12 game season as well. So it's just the way it happens. Sometimes they have a consistent group. They have a group that loves being out there, and that's great to see. So we appreciate them coming out each week. The Shepherd's Pie, they had their 5 going. They were missing Sergio this week, but having Mount Horner's back is huge for them. If he's able to come play on Thursday, that's going to make things a lot different in the series versus the LA Wiffles of OC. So that's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's something we'll touch on a little bit later, obviously. And they have got a lot of upside coming into this playoff, so that might be that dark horse team that a lot of people are going to be looking at. The next game we've got is the Eliwoso OC versus Trash Pandas. In terms of seeding, this game didn't really matter too much, but if you're a guy who is I guess trying to get that MVP award. This is an important game for some of those MVP candidates like we talked about before, like Blake Fitzgerald, Stephen Hayden, Jordan Drexler. This game actually got cut off because of time constraints, but the final score was 12-2 in this game.
Yeah, the Shepherd's Pie OC Wiffles game took very long. I think it went for they got started a little late, and then it went to like 7:45. So because this game didn't matter too much, actually this game does kind of matter for Trash Pandas, which we'll talk about a little later. Um, but for LA Wolfers, it didn't really matter too much. It was just a fact of whether they'll go undefeated or not, which ended up winning this one 12-2. Justin Lee had himself a very good start to the night. Then Jordan Dressler and Stephen Hayden did their thing on the mound. Jordan did allow 2 runs, but and he's allowed 6 on the whole season. I think we can give him a little bit of a break in 29 innings pitched. So good, fair play to him. But Stephen added on with a grand slam later in the day, and it was very fun game overall. But those top 2 seeds going into today, LOSC do finish the season undefeated, even with 3 people. We'll see how things shake out for the playoffs for both those teams.
Correct, and hopefully that 1 seed curse won't be too much of an issue and too much of a worry for guys like that. Obviously, missing Dominic Crony in this game, but that didn't really matter too much. Myself,
and we've been missing Dustin since like week 2. So
yeah, so hopefully he's here for Thursday as well.
He will be there for the playoffs. I've heard that he will be there for the playoffs.
That's a great sign. Yes, hopefully,
Hopefully.
he will be. Yeah. Let's anyways, in terms of Trash Pandas, they used a couple of different guys. They mixed up the pitching a little bit. Obviously, Blake had some chances out there. Haskell also came in as well. They had another person pitching as well. Also, some interesting stuff in there. But they've got some good potential coming into the playoffs. Obviously, this game wasn't too much in favor for them, but they've always got a good shot, especially with the amount of talent that they've got in that team. It's just a matter of how well you're going to play once you get to the playoffs, which is literally happening the day of, tomorrow, whenever this comes out.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Moving on now to the Beach City Bombers versus Trash Pandas, the final Division 1 game of the season. Between these 2 teams, this would actually help a little bit in terms of seeding if you're paying attention a bit. Like you mentioned earlier with the Eliwoso OC versus Trash Pandas game. This one actually ended up being Beach City Bombers game. They take down the Trash Pandas in this one 7-4. Fairly close game, but this was a very interesting score indeed.
Yeah, and the big story for this is, I kind of thought the 2 seed and 3 seed were actually locked up in terms of Trash Pandas being the 2, Beach City being the 3. But due to Trash Pandas losing this game, Beach City beating them, Beach City actually jumps up into the 2 seed for the playoffs. So these teams are still going to play each other. But however, Beach City Bombers will have the home field advantage for games 1 and 3. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting to note there. Something I did not anticipate was the issue. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've been trying to find it. I believe it's off the tiebreaker rule number 5, which is the run differential. They have the same conference record, the same overall record. Head to head, they're the same. They each beat each other 1 time. Win percentage versus the teams above us. Which would be us, which obviously we did lose a game, so that they would have 0 win percentage. So run differential, what is what it would come down to. And Beach City Bombers finished with a run differential of plus 33, whereas the Trash Pandas finished with a run differential of plus 5. So very interesting. Was very interesting there. The Trash Pandas do fall down to the 3 seed, and the Beach City Bombers will get the 2 seed. But this game, it was another one of those fun games. Some great play in the outfield that's been posted on the Instagram by Blake Fitzgerald to rob Tyler Moore of a home run, who does finish as the home run leader. Um, just kind of a fun night. Neither team wanted to show each other too much because they knew going into today that they would have to play each other next week. So, well, today or tomorrow, I should say. So things will be very interesting for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And then we'll give you guys a little preview and what we think would that be, because obviously things are a little bit different because the structure, because of the the number of teams that we have this season. Only 4 teams make it to the playoffs, so we don't have a divisional round at this point. It's just basically a championship games, and then obviously whoever makes it ends up in the World Series. So a lot of different things, but less games to play, but maybe some more rest for the guys who definitely need it. I know you yourself, firsthand experience how playing 4 games in a row can go crazy on an arm, and then you have to play the next day in a World Series.
And the
Lot
next day
that
you have to
happens in
pitch in
there.
baseball and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that's your world,
that
right?
happened. That happened in the spring season. So that 24 innings of football, and the next day I got to pitch an inning of baseball. It's like okay.
I think that almost happened with the fall season too, right? When you guys went up to York and then you guys came back, had to do the playoffs, blah blah blah, type of deal.
It was pretty close. Yeah.
Well, that's it for Division One for this season. Obviously, thank you to all the teams that made it out there. We've seen some heartbreak, some close games, some improvements from a lot of those teams, and hopefully we get some more guys in that Division One bracket, make it a little bit more competitive. Yeah, obviously there was some great competition this year. Would love to see the same amount of guys there every single year. So definitely see what happens with
Yeah,
that.
congratulations to the 4 teams that did make the playoffs. Congratulations to the LA Wolves of OC for finishing an undefeated season. It's the second time we've had an undefeated team in the regular season. First time being the summer 2023 season with the Purple Huskies. And then to the Avocados and OC Wolves of LA, who did get knocked out of the playoffs. We appreciate you guys coming out for each week. We look forward to having you guys in the spring season as well, which will be announced pretty soon, and registration will go up online very shortly. So um, we appreciate you guys coming out. And thank you for the great competition. Things didn't quite work out the way you guys wanted, but yeah, sometimes you have a good year, sometimes you have a bad year. Just the way it worked out. I mean, Shepherd's Pie able to jump up and improve a bit, and so unfortunately we have 6 good teams, and unfortunately 2 had to be left out, which is unfortunate to see, but it's just the way the world works.
Yes, sir. Now we can move on to Division Two stuff. We got 3 games in total as well. On this side of things, we got the first game: Bad News Dingers versus OC Juicers. We saw OC Juicers improve a little bit last week. This week they didn't get the favor against the Bad News Dingers, and they take a loss here, 8-1 in their game. Not too much happening there with the standings, but that's ultimately what happened in this game.
Yeah, that is. I mean, this game maybe this could have flipped around. Bad News Dingers and OC Juicers had they won this one, but uh, based off the new playoff structure, they found out that they're going to have to play each other in the semifinals. So maybe they didn't want to reveal too much. But Bad News Dingers was able to get some good offense going, which is good to see because these 2 teams played each other recently, and I believe OC Juicers took the victory over Bad News Dingers. So that playoff series is going to be very interesting to see on Thursday. Other than that, just kind of getting ready for that Thursday game. This is a little bit of apart from that very first D1 game. It's a lot of these games are just kind of figure out stuff and see how and see what things are going to look like, and maybe teams are saving their best stuff. We'll see, but I think that's going to be a very interesting playoff series between Bad News Stingers and OC Juicers.
Yes, sir, indeed. And speaking of OC Juicers, this is the first game that they had in the doubleheader. We've seen some improvements, like we said, and interestingly enough, the second game that they had today against the Wiffle D's, which I'm getting to right now, OC Juicers versus Wiffle D's. Big, I guess if you want to call it an upset. Looks, we got an upset here, 2-0 shutout victory for the OC Juicers. Interesting stuff we've got here.
Yeah, very interesting scoreline there. With I think OC Juicers had recently beaten Wiffle D's as well, so that was interesting to see as well. We'll talk about it in the playoffs, but Wiffle D's are not in the playoffs. They're not going to be available for it, so that's why you have the OC Juicers and Bad News Dingers playing each other. But I think this is a little more of a fun game as well. Just having fun out there, figuring some things out, just testing some stuff for the playoffs for the OC Juicers and for Wolf of These. We appreciate the great season. Um, look forward to seeing you guys for the spring season, and we'll see how things shake out for D2 playoffs as we go on here. But with these, I think they would have had a great chance of going to win the World Series. But if you're not available, you're not available. So that's what happens with this time period because the fields are shutting down right after Friday. So we had to. As Osuopata try to get this in as quick as the playoffs in as quick as they could to make sure we had fields.
Right. That also was kind of the hand that kind of switched it around. That's why we're playing tomorrow on Friday. But moving on to the next game, there were some interesting details about this one. Whoosh versus Bad News Dingers. By the looks of it, it looks like we didn't get an official score, but the win was given to Bad News Dingers. I don't know if you have a little bit more insight, but floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't think I think Whoosh either didn't show up or were not able to show up. I believe that's the case because I definitely did not see them playing. So unfortunately they were not there that night. But Whoosh do get that buy into the World Series based off the events that have happened. So we'll see Whoosh on Friday hopefully, and if things work out, should be an interesting series. Maybe this matchup we could see again between Bad News Stingers and Whoosh. But in terms of the standings, that didn't matter too much. Whoosh was set in either the 1 or 2 seed already, as I mentioned last week. So we'll see how things go for D2 for the playoffs.
Yes, indeed, and now we got the Division 2 stuff kind of locked up, and then obviously, I mean, we're giving a preview of everything in the playoff wise a little bit later because that's what we like to do. But let's go ahead and move into the Purple League a little bit. We got a few games in there. We had some scheduling stuff that we won't talk about too much, but there were some games that were important in terms of the playoff standings, actually, for a few of these teams. More importantly, the Beach City Dingers and Pancake Batters and Swingers and Dingers, all those teams were definitely fighting for that last spot there in the playoffs for Purple League. But let's go ahead and start off with the first one. We got Pancake Batters versus Swingers and Dingers. Very close game indeed. If Swingers and Dingers actually won this game, that actually would have helped out the Pancake Batters just a little bit. Well, I mean, it does help the Pancake Batters, I should say, but in this case, very close game, 6-5. Pancake Batters actually needed this win if they wanted to have some hope in that playoffs, because the other games that we'll talk about a little bit later also kind of helps determine that just a bit. But give us a little bit of details on that one, Steven.
Well, yeah, this was pretty much the determiner for the 3 seed in the final spot in the playoffs for the Purple League. Pancake Battle was able to come away with a close victory here. Swingers and Dingers do get knocked out. So it's very same group as Wiffle D's. So they weren't going to be available anyways for the playoffs. So probably because that things worked out this way, where the Pancake Batters do get an opportunity to go up against Beach City Dingers in the semifinals of the World Series for the Purple League. Glizzy Gladiators do win the 1 seed. They finished 7-1-1 on the season, so they get an automatic bye to the World Series again. Pancake Batters, they do get themselves into that 3 seed in a very close game here.
Yes, sir, and indeed they do. The other game we've also got going on, the Beach City Dingers and Swingers and Dingers' second game as well. This one, 11-8, Beach City Dingers get the dub. This allows them to secure that second spot. I didn't think if Beach City Dingers lost this game, I don't know if that would have changed around things for a team like the Pancake Batters. I'm assuming it probably didn't do too much, but if Swingers and Dingers actually won both of their games, that would have helped them at least get into the playoffs. But obviously the latter is what we've got here, and Beach City Dingers locking up that 2 seed for the Purple League playoffs.
Yeah, that is the situation. This wouldn't have changed the standings. Beach City Dinger, even if the Beach City Dingers lost this game, they would have finished above Pancake Batters based off of a tie that they had with the Glizzy Gladiators. They would have finished 5-4-1, whereas the Pancake Batters would have been 5-5. So that one didn't affect it too much, but a little bit of healthy competition out there from the Beach City Dingers between Will Control and Tyler Moore, trying to see who can end up with the most home runs in the Purple League. So some interesting times. I heard some stuff about like they were hoping each other would get out. So just just one of those things that I believe. Tyler Moore came into this one. He was one home run ahead of Will Control going into this final week. Will had 14 and Tyler had 15, so it was very much a competition between those two. So a fun game, and we'll see how things shake out for the Purple League playoffs.
Definitely hilarious to see it too, guys. Definitely best of friends out there, just hitting each other up, trying to sarcastically encourage each other in that moment. And I know you yourself, you've also encouraged Jordan a little bit because you guys sometimes come up a little even with the home runs and the batting stuff, whatnot, pitching, whatever.
Yeah, I had to do my thing. I had to get the one up in the homers this week. Going into this week, it was a little competition between me, Tyler, and Jordan, and me, Tyler, Jordan, and Blake for the finish. See who would finish the most home runs. Tyler was two. Tyler had 14. Jordan and I had 12, and then Blake had 11. And I believe I was the only one to hit a home run. However, I only hit one, so I finished one off of Tyler. So. Um, I don't believe Blake had any. I'm not totally sure in their second game if he had any, but just another way, just a little fun, healthy competition and things like that. So good to see him, and we'll see how things shake out for all these playoffs going into Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, and we definitely can't even look at the stats right now just to see, where everybody kind of ended up. Basically, like you said, we don't know what Blake did in that final game against Beach City Bombers. So, because it is early and we're not rushing the stats a little bit, but obviously we'll talk about that more in the other podcasts after the conclusion of the season overall, after the playoffs and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll talk about the final stats. We'll talk about our award winner predictions and things like that. So we'll dive more into that after the season's over. It could be the next podcast, could be the one after that. So we'll see. It could be very interesting to see for that. We'll have to make a decision on that. I would guess probably two podcasts from now we'll talk about who we think were the award winners and things like that. So once we get those final stats and things like that, we figure out who all the winners are. We'll get that all sorted out.
Indeed, we will. And now we've come to the conclusion of the regular season. We're going to later talk about the playoff predictions in just a second. I just wanted to give a little bit of address to all the teams that were definitely out there, but ultimately eliminated from the playoff contention. Obviously we love having people out there, so please do come back. We always encourage everybody to return for another season. Obviously we love seeing all the fun, all the personalities and characters that we do get out there. I talked about Division 1 teams a little bit, but always fun to have all these guys out here. Obviously winter season is a little different, a little colder out there as well, but we love to see, like, if you hit up the barbecue as well, out in the parking lot, definitely a great time out there, and hopefully we can do some more things like that, and hopefully more once we get to the spring season.
Yeah, we're gonna keep talking to any friends or any other people you think might be interested. I was actually talking to one group of people who were playing softball right in the stadium next to us. I was talking to one group of them. They were talking about they were interested in joining the Purple League for next year. So I gave them some information on that and told on the website and like some of my contact information, Anthony's contact information, and things like that. So if you have anyone that you know who might be interested, either playing with your team or making a new team or joining another team, stuff like that, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to have new people out there. We're finalizing the signups and the dates for the next season, and for the spring and the summer season, I should say. So stay posted on that. We'll let you guys know about that as soon as we find out.
Hey, and if anybody's interested in joining the LA Whistles of OC's Purple League team, if we do get it, talk to Steven. That's your guy right
Yeah,
there.
we need females, please. We don't know any on our own. We're lonely people.
Yeah, that's
What do you
for
think we
real.
do? Why do you think we do this? Help!
Yeah, we're stuck in these rooms.
This is a cry for help.
Yeah, literally.
Well, that's all we got here for week 8 for the regular season. As we mentioned just before this, I mean, obviously we had to take a little break, as you can tell by the glaring light in my room, which I'm going to figure out at some point. But we had to take a little break. It's getting that time of year. Not only the end of football, but the end of school for us. We both have had lot of finals and a lot of projects to do for the end of the year. I think you're what? You're almost done, aren't you?
Friday would be my last day, correct?
Yeah, you got one Friday. I'm all done with classes now. I just got to finish up assignments and stuff. I've done all my finals and things like that. It's just other assignments to do during the week. So
Lucky dog.
yeah, wrapping up with you. I mean, wow, so I had two of them in between when we were recording these, so yeah, I got them out of the way at least. So that's good for now. But
That's a good thing, yeah.
we're back here. We appreciate those teams coming out, and we look forward. And hopefully, we'll see you guys for the spring season coming up in 2024. It's kind of weird already think it's going to be 2024 in less than a month, but that's where we are. So little final standings rundown here for you. Starting off the Purple League actually. Glizzy Gladiators in first, Beach City Dingers in second, Pancake Batters in third. Those are your three playoff teams in the Purple League. Then you have Swingers and Dingers in fourth, and we got Spice in fifth. That's how the standings ended up in the Purple League. Division 2, Whoosh in first, Wiffle D's in second, Bad News Dingers in third, No C Juicers in fourth. Wiffle D's not available for the playoffs, so you can take them out for the playoff wise, but all the other three teams are playing. LA Wolves will see in first, Beach City Bombers in second, Trash Pandas in third, the Shepherd's Pie in fourth. Those are your four playoff teams right there. And then OC Wolves of LA and Avricarbos, OC Wolves of LA in fifth, and Avricarbos in sixth for Division 1. So that's how things shake out in all the brackets. If you guys did not see the email this morning about the playoff schedule, we have the playoff schedule here. So Thursday, the first games are going to be taking place at 6 o'clock, or at least the first game. And Thursday is going to be taking place at softball field number 2. It's not going to be in the stadium, just to make sure everybody's clear on that. It's taking place at softball field number 2. So just look for us when you get there. We'll see what the setting is. We got to get all the fields sorted out. We got to get all the mats out there, but Trash Pandas and Beach City Bombers get started right away at 6, followed by the OC Juicers and Bad News Dingers playing at 6:20, as well as LA Wolves of OC and Shepherd's Pie playing at 6:20. And from then we continue on. D1, D2 have the rest 2 out of 3. And then at 8:30, Beach City Dingers take on the Pancake Batters in a single elimination game. So that'll be at 8:30. So make sure to look for you guys' schedules on the if you don't have the email, ask your captain about the Orange County Wiffle Ball email that was sent about 8 o'clock this morning on Wednesday morning. So make sure to let them know about that. But that's our plan. Friday we will be back in the stadium. I would guess I believe we're starting around 6:20 for all those World Series. Have 3 World Series going on at the same time. You have D1, D2, and D3. So that's our schedule for right now for OC Wiffle Ball for the rest of the year. And then after that, you have the golf tournament on the 16th. Make sure if you did sign up to go to that. And that's all we got. I think it's time to put our money where our mouth is and make some predictions. So are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll start off with the Purple League predictions. We'll work our way from Purple League into D2 and then to D1. So Purple League, as I mentioned, the single elimination game for the semifinals. You have the Beach City Dingers taking on the Pancake Batters. A close matchup here. 2 teams with very close records. Justin, who do you got winning this one?
This is a very different look than what we had last season because we didn't have Beach City Dingers in there. Pancake Batters were another team that were also in that mix a season ago. In this first game, between these two teams, I mean, they have Tyler Moore and Contrell, obviously hitting bombs in the last few games, and they're having competition of who has the most home runs in the Purple League between the two. Ultimately, I feel like the BCD Bombers have this edge in this game. I feel like they're the team favored to advance into the championship series or whatnot, to the World Series, if that's what we're calling it. But I definitely feel like BCD Dingers coming here is a new look to this Purple League. It might make it pretty competitive for the team that they'll meet in the World Series matchup there.
All right, so you're going with Beach City Dingers. My prediction, I'm predicting the same thing here. I mean, as good as pancake batters are, last year they finished in fourth in the Purple League out of four teams, and then this year they finished third out of five teams. So they have definitely had some improvement, and they've had some great play from the likes of Katie Shinrock, Chad French, and others on the team. Overall, as a team, they're hitting 346, which is very good. However, Beach City Dingers, they do have a team batting average of 407, with Will Control leading the way with a 569 average. So I'm going to choose the Beach City Dingers as well. I think the Beach City Dingers are going to be coming off. A lot of them are going to be coming off playing their Division One playoff series because they'll be playing that one first, and then they'll go to the Purple League, which usually it's the opposite for them. Usually they play Purple League first, and then they go play the D1 games. But the way the schedule's set up, it's the opposite, obviously. So I think they're going to be able to get a good number of runs. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game in general, but I'm picking the Beach City Dingers to win this one and move on to the World Series, which is what we are calling it because it is the World Series. So already in the World Series is the number one seed, the Glizzy Gladiators, who, if our predictions are correct, will be playing the Beach City Dingers in a best of three World Series on Friday. All right, now Justin, best of three series here between Glizzy Gladiators and Beach City Dingers. What are your thoughts on that series, and who do you have overall winning?
See, this is a much very different look than what we saw last season. What Glizzy Gladiators had to face up against. Obviously, this team has a couple of loaded guys. The question is, does Beach City Dingers decide to kind of take this one really seriously and want to go get that championship? Because obviously the whole point of the Purple League is to basically, have fun in that league and not try to do anything too wild, right? But in all cases, I feel like this probably would string out to about a 3-game series. Ultimately between these two teams, just because of the talent wise that's there. Obviously, Glizzy Gliders have a lot of depth. That's another big thing for me, is that having that depth there to really mix in a couple of guys. It just kind of depends like who's going to be pitching ultimately in these games. And then for Beach City Dingers, will it be Tyler Moore for the most part? Will it be Contrell for the most part? Would it be someone else in that case? But this might become a shootout, I feel like, between these two teams. I mean, we're going to see a lot of balls flying in the air, a lot of fireworks for sure. But if I had to choose, ultimately, I'm more in favor of a newer team taking the title this year, just because obviously Glizzy Gladiators won last year. I think a lot of people would also favor the Glizzy Gladiators over the Beach City Dingers, but I'm going with the underdogs here with the Beach City Dingers coming into this game.
So the fall season, I got a little slack for not picking the Glizzy Gladiators to win. As you know, when a team does win the World Series, they do get the chance to gloat a little bit, and they did listen to the podcast, and we appreciate it. Hope you're still listening to this podcast. I did get a little bit of slack for not choosing the Glizzy Gladiators. So for that reason, I think I'm going to, and that, well, not just for that reason, but that being one of the reasons, I am going to choose the Glizzy Gladiators to win this one. In fact, I think the X factor here is going to be Shelby Balin, one of the best female pitchers in the Purple League. Had a case to be made for the Female Player of the Year last last season in the fall, but missed out on it this year. For Shelby herself, she got a 27 innings pitched, 38 strikeouts, with a 5.56 ERA. Very good pitching stats, especially in the Purple League, where the average ERA is a 7.29. I'm curious to see how serious the Beach City Dingers take it. Tyler Moore and Will Control have used this at times to see how many home runs they can hit, and as we mentioned earlier, they were having their little competition to see who could finish with more, and were cheering on when the other person got out. So going to be very interesting to see that. I think there's going to be one game in there that it's going to be really low scoring and not a lot of offense. I think the pitching of Joey Potter and Tyler Moore is going to really show in one game, and I think the other two games will be pretty high scoring. And I think overall that it's going to come down to that game three, just like the previous season, which the Glizzy Gladiators needed 3 games to beat Anthony's team in the Sheeps in the World Series. I think this is going to take 3 games, and I'm taking the Glizzy Gladiators to win this one in a very close game, in a very close 3 game series. But it's going to be really come down to the pitching matchups. You have Joey Ponder and Shelby Balin for the Glizzy Gladiators, and the Beach City Dingers. You have Tyler Moore, who's probably the best pitcher in the series. But then Shannon Control will. I believe the Glizzy Gladiators are going to be able to hit her a little better than the Beach City Dingers are going to be able to hit the Shelby Balin. I think that's going to end up being the difference in this series.
I think that's a great prediction overall. I mean, yeah. So you've got the other guys going with the Purple League predictions here. Um, so that's a very interesting pick
It's
there.
a it's a very tight one. Those teams are very close. They've beaten each other throughout the season. I know they had that one time they had that tie against each other. I'm not. I don't. I'm not. I think the Glizzy Gladiators may have beaten them the other time, but I think given if and when exactly the series happens, because it this could be an issue of if the Beach City Bombers make it to the Division One World Series, this could possibly be played on a different day. So who knows? But I think this is going to be a very interesting finish. But I think Glizzy Gladiators are going to come out in 3. I've heard some interesting stuff about the temper and the train of thought of Shelby Balin. So I think she's going to want to turn the ball over to Joey Ponder for as many innings as he can throw. And I think when Shelby pitches, I think that's going to be the difference maker. Is the female battle between the Glizzy Gladiators and the Beach City Bombers on the mound.
Definitely will be. I mean, I guess it kind of matters who's really going to take this one more seriously, or they're just going to let everybody kind of let the dice roll and say, whatever happens, it kind of happens. But I think realistically, for sure, this game will definitely run through at least 3. Like you said, for both of us, we're both choosing a dice roll here of 3 games, pretty much. So this is, I mean, if you're a fan of watching these two teams, like or whichever team ends up making it, because obviously we didn't pick the Pancake Batters, but if they do, big upset there. Would be a different matchup against the Glizzy Gliders, but I think this would be a very fun game to watch if you are someone who likes to see a lot of hits.
Yeah, and I believe the Pancake Batters gave the Glizzy Gladiators their only loss of the year. So if that matchup were to happen, that would be very interesting to see as well. I mean, these games will be, no matter what, the World Series will be live streamed as the Glizzy or most likely will be live streamed as the Glizzy Gladiators do a lot of live streams for a lot of their games. So I think if you're interested in that and seeing this one in the live and you're not able to come out to the field, you'll be able to see it there. But we do encourage everybody, even if your football season is done, to come out to the field and come out and watch. Get a closer feeling with some of the players. You can have a lot of conversations. I mean, we'll be a little busy playing, but come out here and enjoy the night. I mean, what do you got? What do you got to lose? I mean, you probably have a life to live, and as I don't, so I'm glad I'm playing right now. So if anyone's interested, please come out.
Yes, please do. I mean, we've advertised it a
Very
few
sad over
times.
here.
Yeah, finding a Purple League team, finding a female to play on that team, it's just a lot of things there you get to process.
It's an evil world we live in.
It is a very evil world. But yeah, we've advertised it a few times too. Kind of like encouraging people to come out to the playoffs and just watching in general, especially the teams that don't make it. Obviously those guys have lives and everyone's got places to be or plans and whatnot. But if you got nothing to do, why not? You're not losing a day out of your mind. You're just going to watch, some people have fun, pretty much. But I mean, we can't force you to do it, but it'd be great, if people were to show up and just watch those games and definitely like get a crowd out there. We won't be in the stadium, obviously, so it'll be a little bit different. But if you do, bring your chairs with you, take a squat down, and come watch some wiffle ball. That's definitely a big thing.
Yeah, come cheer on your favorite team, even if it's not yours, and make sure it's the other Wolves you see. But cheer on whoever you like. Walk around. You talk with Anthony when he's not busy. You can talk with me when I'm not busy. Just talk about the league and stuff like that, and just get a feel, especially newer guys who want to know more about the league and know more about the history of the league. I'm a pretty good historian of the league, so just come out and come enjoy.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, looks like we got our picks in. You've got the champs from a season ago. I've got the other guys, the newer team, the Beach City Dingers in there. I mean, not really newer, but so those are our picks. So we've got that going for
Yep.
us. Obviously, we're going to save the best for last, which is Division 1. So we got to move on to Division 2 and talk about those games.
Yeah, so Division Two, all four teams that were Division Two were eligible to make it to the playoffs. However, Wiffle D's is pulled out as they are unavailable to make those times. So instead, we're having a similar format to the Purple League, where you have the one seed, which is in this case is Whoosh, making it to the World Series automatically. Do not have to play Thursday, but will show up Friday and play the World Series. However, Thursday, you do have a matchup between the OC Juicers and the Bad News Dingers to clinch a spot into the World Series. Seen these teams play a few times before. No one team has swept the other team. Each one of them has won some games off of the others. So, very interesting matchup here. Bad News Dingers finished the season 4-6. OC Juicers finished the season 3-7-1. But Justin, what are your thoughts on this league championship series for Division Two, and what are your thoughts on it, and who do you got winning this series?
I think this would be a very interesting matchup here. I mean, this is a little bit different because now you're telling us that Wiffle D's won't be able to be there. So we're talking about the Bad News Dingers and the OC Juicers. But we talked about it earlier, just a little bit actually. The fact that the OC Juicers actually came out on top of a few of these games, and we're starting to pick up things. And obviously the most important thing is getting wins late in the season and showing out that you're able to play with a lot of these bigger teams. So this is a tough choice because Bad News Dingers have been around for a little bit. OC Juicers are still kind of fairly new in that regard. They had a rough season last year, so it is nice for them to be up here in this playoff spot, in contention, and able to get a chance for themselves to at least play for that playoff spot. I have been picking underdogs so far. Minus the pancake batter because technically they were underdogs in the Purple League, but I am going to go with the OC Juice in this one. I think they carry out the momentum that they had a few weeks ago and this prior week actually, and give themselves a chance to actually be that surprise team that nobody really expects to make it to the World Series Division 2 against Whoosh.
I gotcha. Yeah, go with the upset here. I like it. I think it's a very interesting pick. OC Juices have been hot, especially as of late. I think they started the season. I think they were 0-5 or 0-6 and something like that. And since then, they've won three out of the last five, and including one of those being a tie. So they've been hot at the right time. They've had some great success at the plate. Some great success at the plate and some better success on the mound. Joshua Thompson, Joel Gonzalez, Chad French pitching more, and getting better throughout the year. And then hitting wise, they're doing great. But also, you have Bad News Dingers, have been around there for a long time. I think at least as long as I have, maybe longer. I could be wrong, but still have veterans in here like Joey Reese, Shane McCoy, Yakovlev, who himself is not having a bad hitting season at all. This is a very close one. I think I think it'll go to 3 games regardless. But I think depend. Like you said, it all just depends on who's there and who's not there for this series. Thursday makes it a little bit different for guys to show up, whether it be in Purple League Division 2 or Division 1. But I'm also going to go with the OC Juices. Actually,
Whoa.
I think they pull this one out in 3 games. Most recently, these two teams did play each other, and Bad News Stingers won. But the time before that, OC Juices won, and maybe the time before that as well, OC Juices won again. So I think they might have split the series 2-2 throughout the year. But I think OC Juicers are kind of getting hot at the right time. Like I said, as some of those OC Juicers guys also play on pancake batters, so I don't think that'll carry over to playing the Beach City Dingers in the Purple League. But I th- I, do, I think I think OC Juicers are going to pull it off, and it's going to be it will be a very cool story if that is what happens. And the fourth place team making it to the last place team, we're making it to the World Series. It's not something we've really seen too much before. Even in the past, where we've had no divisions, I don't think many six seeds have ever made it to the World Series. I think the lowest seed to ever win a World Series was the fourth seed, which we had in the spring 2023 season. I know for sure. I can't think of any other instances right now. Which, by the way, I mean not to brag, but that fourth seed was us. But I mean, what could you say? But I think the OC Juices are going to pull off. I'm picking the upset as well. And I think they're gonna get the job done. I think it's gonna be a very close series. Probably three low scoring games. It's just gonna come down to whose pitching shows up on the day and whose bats show up at the right time. So I think it's going to be a very close battle, though.
That is very interesting because we typically have gone with teams that are favored over the other guys in these ones, but obviously this is not permanent. This is just what we think. So very interesting. This is very cool because we're on the same track. We picked like the same team in like the first game so far in some of these championship game series. So that's great. So let's talk about that matchup then. So it would be ending up as Division II World Series. It'd be OC Juicers versus Whoosh in this case. Since I picked first earlier, why don't you start and tell us what you think how this will go in the Division II World Series?
I kind of want you to start this one. I kind of want to see where you go because I might have something up my sleeve. So you go forward first if you don't mind.
Do you want me to be brutally honest about this though? Should I be brutally honest?
Be as honest as you want. Keep in mind, I will send this to Chad French.
Fair.
No, I will not personally send it to him, but he may watch. They may watch the podcast. Who knows?
He's a considerably good player. Like genuinely, definitely, like has numbers that being on part of a team, he definitely stands out amongst a lot of other people out there, and I'm sure he's a consideration for a couple of teams out there to maybe pick him up at some point, if that becomes a scenario. But OC Juicers are obviously a huge underdog in this because Whoosh, not only did they make it that far in the Division II World Series last year, they lost because of a walk-off home run to the OC Seals. And obviously, they definitely want to be back in the spot. They already are back in the spot, and I think they have a little bit of fire in them. See, the problem is that they've had a few people absent, but... And I'm using this scenario because if their entire roster shows up, then that would change my saw lever, so to speak, towards Whoosh more because they have more experience, they have bigger talent. I mean, are you kidding me? They have Nick Yusoff and all those other guys on there. It's really tough for me to say that OC Juicers are going to even outlast even 3 games for the most part. So I have Whoosh actually beating out OC Juicers in 2 games.
I mentioned something up my sleeve. I just have a sneaking suspicion that the OC Juicers are going to do it. You mentioned one of my big points was the inconsistency of availability, and in any sport or outside of sports and work or anything, the best ability is availability. It's not your speed, not your strength, not your adaptability. It's your availability. And as much as I do love the other Wolfsville C Division II team, it's just been a struggle to be able to get everyone there. Like I said, if they have literally every single person there, and Donald LeCompte, Drew Plant, Ryan Miller, Owen Schur, Nick Yusoff, and Jake Mitchell, I guess that they need to have all 6 there to. I guess you can kind of call that a caveat if you may. Then I would choose them, but I just haven't been able to trust that they're going to have their full roster there. And these two teams played each other recently, and both teams do have a tie on their record, and that was because they played each other the second to last week it was, and OC Juicers were still at the plates when the lights went out, and that was ended up being a call to tie. So OC Juicers came back and won that one. Which that was, I believe that was, it might have been a 3-on-3 battle with the number of players there for each team. So if Whoosh do not have all 5 or 6 of their players, if the Whoosh are short by one player, if they have 4 or less, I'm picking the OC Juicers to win it. I'm picking them to go from worst to first here and come away with a Division II title. A season after not winning a single game and what looked like not a great start to Division II. I think sometimes it's just about who's hot at the right time. And I think OC Juicers are pulling it off at the right time. But I think it would be a battle. I think it needs some big offense here from the guys like Chad French, who we've talked about so much, especially recently. You need him to step. You need to be big. Joel Gonzalez needs to be big on the mound. And if they're able to do that, I can genuinely see the OC Juicers winning this if Whoosh do not have their full team.
Very interesting. I like it. I mean, you're definitely going with a team that, I mean, I guess some people would be like, picking them over the under as like negative, like, I don't know, 12 or something like that in favor of the, Whoosh and all that. So this is a very interesting pick. I do like it though. You backed up that argument very well. So I think that definitely convinced a lot of people to say, hey, maybe there is a really good chance here that Whoosh might get taken down in a very strange fashion, but it is doable, and we see teams definitely go down who seem like very strong teams, and we firsthand felt that as well. I mean, we're not discounting the Trash Pandas. They had a really good team that year. They still do, and obviously we're going to talk about them a lot more when we get to Division 1. But they took down LA OC in the first game. Who would have thought? But different circumstances there for sure as well. But this is a very interesting pick, and I like it. So I guess we'll just see what happens and whose pick decides to hold up there. So go ahead.
Yes. I was just going to say another point. Whoosh has got a little bit of rust as well. The last game they played was week 7. Week 8 they weren't able to be there. And then Thursday they weren't playing. You have Chad French, who plays on the Pancake Batters and OC Juicers, who, if both our predictions are correct, will be coming off some success and some disappointment. Some success in D2 and then some disappointment in D1. I think he would be able to help lead his team to that. It just depends on who all is there for Whoosh, because Whoosh definitely has a lot more talent. I would. No, I nearly all those guys used to play on my team at one point, which I'm still going to say it again, Donald. I need some trade compensation, but I can genuinely see that this way, and it's also a thing of, it's like, what do I have to lose? People called me crazy the spring 2023 season when I said the 4 seed LA Wolves of OC were going to win the whole thing. They were going to beat the team that nearly went undefeated the whole year, the MS Warriors, and then they were going to beat. I thought I predicted the Wise Guys, but it ended up being the Diablos. But I was either one. I predicted that they were going to beat them and win the World Series. I got some snorts and some laughs when the podcast came out, and because we actually had the banquets the day before, the day after the podcast went out for the spring 2023 playoff predictions, and even Anthony was like, "Really, you're picking yourself?" And I got some good laughs, and because you decided to blurt it out before the podcast went out, but I backed it up, and Jordan still reminds you of that to this day, that you didn't pick us to win that World Series, but it's one of those, anything can happen on any given night. As we will discuss here with D1, anything can happen on any given night.
Yes, sir. And that is true. Anything can
really happen.
I just got a feeling. You got a feeling. I like it. It definitely makes this more competitive now that you've chosen the OC chooses to win this thing. So this will be a very interesting thing to go down here for sure. Well,
Now, if they lose in the first, if they lose in the to the Bad News Dingers, then I look like an idiot.
that would
But
be a travesty. Yeah.
I'm an idiot anyway, so who cares?
Damn. Just discounting yourself in this entire podcast so far. God damn.
If you can't make fun of yourself, you can't make fun of others. That's my life motto.
It's very true. I like that saying. Well, you got your pick. I've got my pick. Got Division 2 and Purple League locked up, so check mark that right there. You're holding up your award. That's very nice. And
Now it's time to talk about the big boy.
the big boy indeed. That is Division 1 playoffs. And Steven, give us that little preview that we got.
Well, I'm going to give you a preview of this fall 2023 World Series plaque that was given out. Now, I also have my spring one behind me, just to let you know 2 times. But the World Series, I should say that whoever does win all these World Series will not be getting a plaque. Actually, as we talked about it before, if you go to media and you go to awards, you can go on to the awards area, and you can see that that the Division 1, Division 2, and Purple League World Series champions will be winning and getting the custom engraved wooden bat for their team, not the plaque. So I should mention another championship for us, but that's besides the point. All the teams will be getting a custom engraved wooden bat. For example, if I could hold on to the bat here, you have this one here. This one represents our OC Summer Classic Championship for the LA Wolves of OC, which we took down the low. Basically, you took the MS Warriors and Purple Huskies and combined the best players from each of those teams and stuff like that. So we were able to do that, but we talked about that a long time ago. Each team will be getting one of those. But now for D1,
Yes, indeed.
we got some good matchups here.
Yes.
Different formats. Previously, we've had times where you have the wild card round and then you have the championship series. But this year with 6 teams in D1, we're going straight to the championship series. You got on one side starting real early, as we mentioned, 6:00 start. You have the 2-seeded Beach City Bombers taking on the number 3 Trash Pandas, and then on the other side starting at 6:20. You have the number 4 Shepherd's Pie taking on the number 1 undefeated LA Wolves of OC. So those are your 2 matchups for the championship series. Winner will play in the World Series. The winner will be winning the first ever Winter OC Wiffle Ball World Series. I should mention that as well. All these teams will be it's their first ever winter season, so we will have their first ever winter winner. So Justin, starting off, we're gonna start over in left field with the Beach City Bombers and the Trash Pandas. A very interesting series of 2 teams that just played each other recently. Who do you got? What do you think of this series? I should frame this way. What do you think of this series and the matchup, and what do you got? Feel free to go into as much detail as you want.
I think there is a big difference now because obviously they flipped seedings there earlier this week. So now obviously BC Bombers have the home field advantage in the first and third game, like you said before. And those are the circumstances, which is also something I also should point out, is that they're in left field for this series rather than where we have started in left field. It kind of has gone.
We've played 15 of our 16 of our last of. Here's a funny stat for you. The LA Wolves will see 16 of their last 17 games have been played in that left field.
Yeah.
Since the playoffs started, you had, I guess 15 out of 16, I should say. You had 5 games. You had 5 games of the playoffs, and then the 11 games of the regular season. 10 of those regular season games were played in left field. So that's the LA Wolves will see field, but we're not playing on it. So
yeah. Hopefully that's not a bad omen. Gonna knock on wood here, and hopefully that doesn't come to bite us in the back later. Yeah, did get knock on it a few times. But going back to this game a little bit, Beach City Bombers and Trash Pandas. These are 2 very talented teams. If you told me a little bit back with the Beach City Bombers roster, I would probably say maybe not. just because they didn't have a lot of their guys from a season ago on there. They had been struggling a little bit early in the season just to figure out the pitching stuff, and obviously their number two guy who hasn't been there, and all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, Zach comes back. I don't know what his availability exactly is because these are Thursday and Friday, if they do make it to Friday, obviously. But that would be a big piece of their roster if they're able to have Zach on that team. And then the new guy, Scott, the coach Scott, also been doing pretty good in the last couple games, few games, I should say. He's also been doing really good. So they have a very solid roster. I think they can work with it if they really want to go through into the playoffs. Trash Pandas, on the other hand, they have had some issues with pitching a little bit, but I think they're also slowly figuring it out a little bit too. It doesn't help that Mo Wright isn't there either. Not exactly sure what happened to him mid-season, but Trash Pandas have been able to work with what they've got, especially with the same amount of guys. Michael Haskell's been pitching a little bit. Looks like he's starting to heat up a little bit as well. Blake Fitzgerald, if he can play at his MVP level like he has been this season, definitely for sure. If they have another pitcher in there that can keep it consistent, I think they got a good shot. I think this is automatically going to be a 3-game series, no matter which way you look at this, because both of these teams are very talented, indeed. And I don't think the seedings really matter. But obviously it would matter if they do get to the third game. And there's a walk-off scenario going to happen there, obviously. I personally think if they have Zach Moore there, I'm assuming he's going to be there in this scenario, that they elongate this to 3 games and they hold off Trash Pandas in that final third game. But it would be very, very close. But I do think Beach City Bombers have enough talent to outlast Trash Pandas and be able to move on and return back to the promised land, which they were a few seasons ago.
And by a few seasons, you mean 2 seasons ago?
2 seasons ago, yes.
It wasn't that long ago. All right, Tyler. Justin's not trying to say it was that long ago. It's not ancient history. Don't worry. Is that come with the caveat at all? If Zach's not there, does it change anything for you, or do you think they're going through regardless?
I think it still
I'm giving you the chance to put something in.
It makes it a little bit closer if Zach's not there. But the problem is that if you don't have a second pitcher in this league, you're definitely going to struggle. If Zach's not there, I think he's going to be the X factor piece to the puzzle here, basically. So if he's not there, I actually might lean more towards the Trash Pandas in this scenario.
Well, for me, a very interesting series here. These two teams played each other. The first time they played each other, Trash Pandas won. I believe it was a very close score. I'd have to check again just to make sure, but I believe it was a very close score when these two teams played each other the first time. And then they played each other most recently. You can consider it a little bit more of a fun game. Just kind of getting some pitching through. Trash Pandas did get to work through some pitching to try to see what they have and what they don't have. So, yes, these two played each other week 1 actually. Trash Pandas won that game 2-1. So they haven't played each other very often. They played each other week 1 and then they played each other week 8. So. Very, very different results from back then and now. Zach Moore was not at either one of these games for the Beach City Bombers, but I do expect Zach Moore to be there. He had some good pitching in his 2 or 3 games that he's played so far. His hitting started to pick up a bit as well, but. I think regardless of whether Zach Moore is there or not, I got the Trash Pandas winning this one. I think it's another 3-game series, but I think Blake Fitzgerald is gonna go his 4 innings, and if the big key is managing when he pitches. I know Blake Fitzgerald, when he gets hot, he likes to throw as often as he can and just throw 4 innings in a row. And sometimes I can leave a bad spot for them in the later innings when Blake's not available. Perfect example with the Ellisville Sea and Trash Pandas. The very first time they played, it was 2-2 going into the 5th inning. Blake had pitched his 4 innings, and Michael Haskell came into the game. The Ellisville Sea then proceeded to win the game 18-2. If they get better managed Blake's innings, him for potentially the last inning or two as well, while mixing in Michael Haskell, who has improved on the mound since that Week 3 game versus LSC. And also you have Andrew, I believe you have Ryan Swanson, who has been pitching a little bit as well, and has some dirty stuff. He was doing some good stuff against us and the Beach City Bombers last week. But I believe Beach City Bombers come out hot and win game one, and Trash Pandas bounce right back. The offense gets going, and they come back and win games 2 and 3. It's just gonna be a matter of, are the Trash Pandas going to able to hit the drop ball and the screwball? They've had a little more experience with it now. You know, they faced me and Dustin in the World Series and the regular season as well. And Tyler Moore and Zach Moore are pretty similar pitchers to me and Tyler. Tyler and Zach are pretty similar pitchers to me and Dustin in their arsenal, especially that drop ball. They feature that drop ball a lot. So if they're able to time that up and just be able to consistently hit that, that could really get into Tyler's head. And if Zach isn't there, then they got to face against Charlie, which Charlie's an easier pitcher to face than Zach. Obviously, you know, Zach being World Series MVP and stuff like that from the summer season. So I think Trash Pandas, they storm back. They and I think they're out looking hungry, and they're looking for blood here. They want to get revenge for their World Series loss in the fall season, and they beat Beach City Bombers regardless of whether Zach is there or not.
Very interesting. I mean, judging by the way we've kind of picked our guys, is like it's very even across the border here. So like it could go both ways, just depending on how things kind of go. Basically, like you said, you know, if BT Bombers don't have Zach, that's a different story with the pitching. If you just get through timing it up a little bit, if you get the perfect timing, then things could ride smoothly. But, you know, if they don't figure that pitching out too well, then obviously things can definitely go offhand just like that very quickly.
I think it's for the Trash Pandas. I think it's going to take them that first game to get used to that the drop balls that Zach and Tyler Moore throw. Once they get to that second game, because they've had success against me in the World Series. Game 2, they scored 4 runs off of me in the first inning. And then after that, I didn't really pitch anymore. I switched it up to Jordan to give him a different look. He doesn't throw many drop balls, and then they don't like facing Dustin regardless. But Dustin's kind of nightmare fuel for them. But I think give him a game to get used to Tyler Moore and get the understanding where the drop ball is going to be. And I think they're going to pull. I think they're going to win games 2 and 3.
Epic. Well, I like it. Well, you got your picks. I've got mine for that one. And then now we got to talk about boys. And obviously the team that won the do or die game, which was Shepherd's Pie in this game, or in that series against OC Wiffles of LA, knocking them off and then giving themselves a chance. So just that little preview. Obviously that first game starting at 6:20 p.m. And then obviously game 2 would be an hour after, and then obviously after in case game 3 is needed there, then 8:30 would be that time. This time we're in right field for this series. So what do you feel, you know, not being in our home turf, so to speak, that we're in right field for this?
Well, I mean, we're not in the stadium anyway, so whereas it's going to feel different. Last time the Louisville played on that side field, they won a great division, great semifinals of the league championship series versus the MS Warriors, where the wind was a big factor. That's going to be important for all these series as well. How bad is the wind going to be, and what's the weather going to be like? That can affect a lot. It can make the games really high scoring because if they can't find the pitching, or if people figure out the pitching like I did in that spring season where I really took over in the playoffs, that can really make a big difference. But to us, speaking as not as the podcast host, but as the captain, to us it doesn't make a difference. We're out here to try to prove a point. We're not satisfied with the undefeated season, and for that reason, I'm just going to go straight into my pick here. I'm choosing Louisville C to win this 1 and 2 games. I don't care. I'm going straight into it. I know you asked another question, but I don't care. The thing that makes the other Wolves C different from some of the other 1 seeds. Purple Huskies were the 1 seed previous 2 times. LOC have been, with the past 6 weeks, have been without Dustin Staggs, who, as far as I know, is going to be there for the playoffs, for all rounds of the playoffs. So that's a great hitter to the lineup, and another arm that is absolutely crucial. And the thing about the Elos we'll see, and I designed my team this way, is to have three elite pitchers that can. That if someone's off in a series or in a game, we can just easily switch over to the other two pitchers and have them ride it out. For example, the World Series against the Trash Pandas. Uh, I pitched Game 2. I pitched a little bit unlucky. Some hits that I thought that went a little farther than I thought. But I gave up 4 runs in the first inning. And what do I do? What happens? Jordan Dressler pitches 3 innings, and Dustin Staggs pitches 2 innings, and we win the game. Even looking back to the semifinals, Louisville FC versus MS Warriors in the fall season. Game 2, I didn't pitch at all. I pitched 4 innings in Game 1, and then Game 2 was all Jordan Dressler and Dustin Staggs. They took the pitching load and ended up getting a 3-2 victory there in that game to sweep the MS Warriors. But Shepherd's Pie are a team that I am fearful of. Playoff Anthony is a real thing. I've seen it in the past, especially I can think back to the summer 2022 season, when he had his team, like him, Edward Yu, when they were teamed up together. One game semifinals versus the Wise Guys, who at that point were the number 1 overall seed, and I think it only lost 1 or 2 games in a 12, 13 game season. Ended up beating them 12-7 with 3 home runs from Anthony and a great pitching performance on the mound. Playoff Anthony is a real thing. However, Anthony can't pitch all 4 innings, and I think especially me against a guy like Nicholas Toner, Evan White it's going to be just a team. How is our team going to be able to attack that second pitcher? If we struggle to attack that second pitcher, then it's going to be real close. But I foresee us getting some real good offense. When we need the LOC do need to get some offense going early and often, because usually these top teams, as we saw with the Purple Huskies last season, they got off to a slow start, fell behind, and then they just couldn't rebound after that, and they ended up going out in the semifinals. So this team is still hungry. They want to get that third World Series in 4 years, and I got them getting back to the World Series in this series here. That was a lot to say, but I think it was motivational. It was coming from the heart and the head.
Definitely came from the heart. Yeah, there was a lot there that you just literally threw on everybody's plate. Like, just threw the whole meal at them. They're just like, what?
You call me fat?
I did not say that. What the heck? Damn. All right, man. I get it. You're emotional, but like that's not what I was thinking.
I am fat right now. Oh,
there you go, back again, shooting yourself in the foot. Wow, yes, lot to intake there, lot to digest, pretty much. So, I mean,
excuse you.
It wasn't a fat joke, man.
It's tired. I'm late. I've had 2 classes wrap up today.
I think you're hearing stuff, man.
I need something to entertain myself.
Yeah, not a woman. So your pick here is Elios OC in 2, I'm assuming.
Yes, I said Elios OC in 2.
Whew, far-fetched. I like it. Like you said, Playoff Anthony is a real thing. Obviously, you have seen that plenty of times throughout your time watching OC Wiffle Ball in general. They did take it down OC Wiffles of LA in a very interesting fashion. I would be somewhat concerned, maybe in the first couple games, just because they have guys like Matt Hornich, who we know has a very strong bat. My only issue is the question is that if they're gonna hit, they have to hit a lot. And I don't mean like keep up with the Elios OC. I'm saying like they have to be able to see these pitches very well from these 3 guys, because let me tell you, they don't miss. Because when you practice against these guys, they're really good. But speaking of which, because of Anthony, I mean, dude had 4 home runs in that All-Star game. A couple of them came off of Jordan and a lot of those guys that were out there as well. So expect him to really be that big contributor throughout this game. If he's red hot, then Certainly, I think this might surely go 3 games, but I just think LOS OC are definitely going to come out on top. I don't like being biased in that, but I am giving them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt just because I feel like there is a little bit of momentum on their shoulders going through into this playoffs, and I feel like they do have a pretty good shot, but I just feel like LOS OC, just the way they've been playing this season, and if they're getting Dustin Staggs, that's another added plus. And if Dominic Caroni is clutch like he always is, if Jordan Drexler hits how he usually does beginning of the season, and then if Seaton does what he does, then albeit LOSOC in 3.
Gotcha. Now I will try to speak a little bit. I mean, I was pretty objective there in the first part. I'll try to speak a little bit. I'll try to take the heart out of it. Having Matt Hornich back is huge there for Shepherd's Pie. He had missed some time. He hadn't had a whole lot of bats this season. He only had 31 at bats through before last week, which is easily the lowest on the team. Having him and having Anthony lead off, and then having him in the 2 slot is very dangerous. We saw that right with the OC Wolves of LA game this past week. First 2 batters of the game, Anthony home run, Matt Hornich home run. Just very, very interesting start to that game. And that game versus the OC Wolves of LA, at one point it was 15-2. It didn't end up being 15-7, but it was Shepherd's Pie did put away OC Wolves of LA and end their season the previous week. So I think that also plays a little bit on the mind of the LSOC is the fact that Shepherd's Pie just knocked out my other team. Actual other team. No, I'm not talking about Whoosh here. Actual other team. I think that's a little bit of a motivating factor, especially for me. I'm very close with all those guys and things like that. So obviously I have to because I got them onto the team and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be very interesting to see how things end. Looking at some of the stats here, which if you are curious, Justin, by the way, these stats actually are updated for week 8 now.
Yes,
If you want to go look at those, but LOSC leading pretty much. I think they're leading every team in any division for overall batting average as a team. They're second to a team in the Purple League, but they have a 404 batting average overall, including you have Stephen Hayden, who's the leader in batting average with it. End up finishing with a 493 batting average, 37 hits on the year, which finishes as the most out of anybody. And you have Jordan Dressler, who's right behind Stephen with 35 hits, 12 home runs, while Stephen has 13 home runs as well. And Dustin Staggs, in this few games, he has 2 home runs as well. So you get Dustin back, you get that mixture of 3. I just think the mojo is extremely high for the Louisville C. But Shepherd's Pie, I am very, very skeptical of them. Very scared of them. I think it's a very tough opponent to go against. I think the biggest thing for that series is, it's going to be one thing about how the Louisville C deal with deal with Anthony and Matt Hornich, but it's also about how the LOC deal when they're pitching to Shepherd's Pie, how they deal with a guy like Evan, like Nicholas Tone, and who just likes to walk constantly. He's walked nearly 50% of his at bats. Get a life, Nick, but he does have a 623 batting average, which is still not in first. Actually, Ethan Rathman has the highest OBP, and then in third place is me, but I don't walk nearly as much. I don't walk as nearly as much as they do, but we digress. And so it's about how the LOC are able to get out the other guys. Depending on how many guys are there for Shepherd's Pie. Are they going to have their full 6 there, or is it going to be 5 or 4? Or 1 week I know Shepherd's Pie just had 3 out there. 1 week they had just Anthony, Nick, and Evan. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things shake out for that series. But I believe Louisville C are going to win this 1 and 2, and they will be moving on to the World Series. That's just my prediction. I think that 1C needs to make it back to the World Series, and so far my prediction, they're going back still undefeated. Louisville C did finish the season undefeated at 11-0. I think they'll be going into this World Series at 13-0.
Alrighty. Well, those are our picks. Now we have to talk about who would be the official winner of Division One in this case. So obviously, both of us picked our team, LAUSO OC. I'm gonna go with my scenario from earlier with Zach Moore being there. So I'm choosing the fact that Zach Moore would be there. Then we would be taking on Beat City Bombers. In your case, who do you have exactly?
I had Trash Pandas versus Ella Wolves of OC.
Okay. So that would be a rematch of last season in that World
Yes.
Series. Okay. Do you want to rock, paper, scissors, see who goes first?
Justin. Since I had the honor of going first for that pick, or actually I didn't. I just started going myself on the Ella Wolves of OC Shepherd's Pie series. I'm gonna let you play your situation out first. So you had the Ella Wolves of OC as the home team for one series or games 1 and 3, taking on the Beach City Bombers, the 1 versus the 2 seed. Matchup the Beach City Bombers are familiar with in the playoffs, in the World Series, especially given their Summer World Series. A matchup of the two previous World Series winners. Justin, what do you think overall of the series, and who do you have as your winner?
I believe this would be technically the first time that they face each other in the playoffs, if I'm correct.
It would be, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
In the past, they've never. It's also the first time the others will see a play. Well, it's also the first time I'm playing Anthony ever in the playoffs. So it's another interesting one for that we didn't bring up before. But yeah, this would be the first time these two teams ever play. No, it would be the first time. Here's one. It would be the first time these two teams play since the spring 2022 playoffs, in which both teams were completely different. But
Oh,
believe it or
okay.
not, little history lesson before you get into it. So the spring 2022 season, LA Will C were a brand new free agent team in which I played for. I was not the captain. That was my one season not as the captain. We were the 3 seed, and at that point, it was 8 teams in the playoffs, and we played against the 6 seed Beach City Bombers. And LA Will C with the MVP Joe Harkey and the Hank Aaron Award winner and myself. We lost that one. I think it was 11-8. Some struggles from the second pitcher of the Louisville C. I forget it was Dan Easley or Joe Harkey, but struggles. Louisville C had bases loaded with 2 outs. With a grand slam for me would have won the game. Instead, I grounded out on the first pitch, and that was game over. But that'll be the first time they've played each other in the playoffs since then. So go ahead. But obviously, these teams are very different now from what they were back then. So go ahead.
That's true. Since then, there's been a lot that's been going on for sure. So this would be the first time they play each other with the new look rosters that they've got. Obviously, there are a few players that are returning in this game overall, but in this scenario, definitely would go out to 3. I think if we're talking about having Zach Moore there, I think this would definitely drag out to a 3-game series with the guys that they have on there. Do I believe that they have the ability to, push it over the agenda against the, reigning champs from one season ago? I don't know, but they definitely do have the ability to do so if they want to. But like we said, we've kind of picked a lot of weird picks throughout this selection process, so anything could definitely happen
The
here.
playoffs are a weird time.
That is very true. They are a very weird time, and if I were to speak on weird times, I would be the devil picking LA OC, right? Because this is the podcast where there's 2 members of LA OC picking the same team
There are.
that literally won last season.
Oh my! Oh wow! I didn't realize that.
You shush your
I would have
mouth.
thought. I would have thought, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know before, man. Welcome to reality.
I forgot you're on my team.
Wow, that's messed up,
All
man.
right, keep going.
Let's finish with a 350 average. Come on. For me, this would be a very tight one. Just frankly speaking. But I'm gonna be that guy, and I'm gonna go with LA OC in 3 versus Beach City Bombers, taking that another win, 3 in 4 seasons. Um, getting that dub once again, but taking down Beach City Bombers in their first ever rematch from a different look perspective, and finishing off 2023 with another, well, not a plaque, a wooden bat, so another trophy to add to the shelf. Obviously, that shelf would be my co-host shelf over there. So another piece of hardware that he probably would just leave on a shelf collecting dust. But be sweet enough to get another award. And maybe some patchwork on the jerseys.
Yeah, that the patchwork is in order. It's something that's going to be happening after the given the fact we won the Fall World Series, we need to get the patchwork done for that one at least. So, if the winter one I can get two birds with one stone. So, plus I need to see the summer championship as well. But interesting. So you're choosing the LOC to win their third World Series and probably move themselves into the greatest franchise in OC football history, which is a discussion we can have another time if that were to happen. Let's talk. You said it's going to be in 3, so you're predicting that the LOC lose at least one game. Which game do you think Beach City Bombers are going to win?
Probably. I like the way that they do things because I know if Zach Moore is definitely going to be there, they're going to be switching between the two guys. Maybe the bats go quiet in the first game. I mean, for LOC. That could be a big possibility. They come in on a Friday, maybe a little too relaxed, maybe, coming off of a, great victory against Shepherd's Pie. Obviously, Beach City Bombers coming off of that win against Trash Pandas in that series in this scenario. I feel like they might get off to a really quick start. So I feel like the first game would be that kicker in the door. And then LOC are like, whoa, we got to take this seriously and really put things into high gear, which is exactly what kind of happened that spring season in the playoffs when they won their first championship. So things very well could happen that way, and I think that's probably what could happen.
Interesting. And, with that pick, who do you see as your World Series MVP or co-MVPs, given the fact that LOC for both the World Series, they've had co-MVPs each time. Who do you think that man's going to be?
You know what? As selfish as a person that I'm being
oh my
right
God.
now.
Oh my God.
I like co-MVPs. So, in that case,
oh my God.
Co-MVPs, my defensive/pitching MVP would be Steven Hayden, but the batting one would be a new one. It would be your boy.
He's actually doing
Justin Lee for the first time in his career.
Oh my God, he actually did it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have truly lost it.
Let's go for a ride, boys. Here we go.
Oh my God! You know what? In fairness to you, you have had a very good season. You've had your best batting average since your very first season, which was the fall of 2022, and especially last game, you were off to a very hot start. You got on base. I think your first 6 plate appearances, including a home run. I think including 2 home runs in there. So you never know. You might want to. Is that a pack you're smoking over there? I think you might need to put. We're not gonna. You might want to make sure that you're with us for this one, but the All-Star Game MVP is feeling good, as we talked about on the last podcast. But okay, interesting. So you have Steven winning his third co-MVP.
There might be some fumes in here. I don't know, man. I think I'm going a little crazy.
You have Packers stuff in the background. There are definitely some fumes.
Don't do that. Come on. It's already hard enough watching a man go like this.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you let that. All right, well, this isn't a football podcast. It's a football podcast. I could do that all day, but
it's right behind me.
I can do that all day, but
yeah, Bears fan.
Okay, gotcha. So you have Steven and Justin for your co-MVPs, your podcast hosts here. The other was supposed to see winning their third title in 4 seasons, I should say. 3 in the same year, and technically 4 if you include that summer tournament. So, going to be very interesting to see. I think that's enough about your pick. Unless you have anything you want to talk, what more you think about your pick before we move on to mine. I think we've talked about your series enough. Unless you got anything else you want to add, your series prediction before we move on to mine, because we have different World Series, different World Series matchup that we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my picks are a little bit outlandish, so to speak, because obviously I'm putting my own ego a little bit too much into what this is.
Wow,
Um,
you're choosing the number. You're choosing the undefeated team to win the whole thing. How outlandish!
very outlandish.
Actually, it kind of is in this league.
Yeah, because a lot of people would definitely want to burn down our show watching this, and come to our house and say, slap us in the face and say, "Come on, man, like for real." Um, we don't. I mean, obviously, we don't have other guests to really give those predictions a little bit. We can certainly get some input from other people, but that's just, you don't have to take it seriously. I think we've said that plenty of times throughout these predictions, like even not this one, but other podcasts where we've made predictions. Like, nobody needs to take it seriously. Like, this is just picks.
Yeah, we're not professional sports analysts.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid to do this. When this isn't, I mean, it's as good of opinions as we have. I have a pretty good football opinion in general, but we're not professionals at this. We're just out here enjoying ourselves and having some fun, and we'll get some. If we do lose, will I be disappointed? Yes. Will it affect me for the rest of my life? Be my sad life, maybe, but anyone else, probably not.
Yeah, I mean,
Actually, it won't affect me for the rest of my life. I'll be disappointed for a bit, surely, and it might be.
yeah, you got
might
two.
go for a little revenge season like it did in the fall, but it's like you can never.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, we're not skip.
Tommy DeVito more.
No, stop it. Obviously, we're not skipping Shannon. We're not like any of those big shows. We're not getting paid to say this. We're not, we're not being held hostage. We don't have a gun pointed at our head to say that kind of stuff. We don't have a producer. We don't have a director. We are the producer, director / co-host / talent / camera people / blah blah blah. Editors.
Well, talent's a strong word.
True. Editing is was your thing for a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, back to it.
Back to the picks.
Yeah, back to it. But overall, just don't take it too seriously. If you want to find me in parking lot, I will be there. But before we can finish off, Steven, we got to hear what you got. So, floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right. So for my prediction, I've got a World Series rematch. The LOSVOC taking on the Trash Pandas. Last year, there was a 3-4 matchup in the World Series. This year, it would be a 1-3 matchup, given the seedings that are taking place that have gone out so far. LOSVOC would be the home team again for Game 1 and 3, just like they were in the Fall World Series. I guess another type matchup here. We saw it last year. Last season, I mean, it keeps feeling like last year, but it was like 2 months ago. But anyways, and this will be a very good battle between both of these teams. A lot of baseball experience out there, except for pretty much the main person without baseball experience is the guy who chose himself to win co-MVP. So, two teams that have seen each other a couple times. First time they played each other. Very close game until the 5th inning, and then this most recent game, it was a 12-2, but it was a little more of a have fun kind of game. That we only had 3 people out there, and they were testing out different pitchers and stuff like that. So, just some different stuff to test out. I think a big key of this series is going to be the pitching of Jordan Drexler. I think he's looked at as probably the favorite for the MVP right now. Which I'll talk about him a little bit. He finished with a 4.73 average, one of the top in the league. I think he may have finished second in the league for batting average, if I'm not mistaken, with a 5.71 on base percentage, 35 hits on the year, 12 home runs, 17 walks. So he's got more than double the amount of hits than walks. So, but pitching wise. We all know what he's been like. He's at a 1.24 ERA, 29 innings pitched, 65 strikeouts, only allowed 6 runs on the year. However, 2 of those did come in the 4th inning in his third inning of work, but the 4th inning of the game. versus the Trash Pandas. And I know he was testing a couple stuff out, but they hit the pitches he wasn't testing out. So I think Jordan's definitely become more of a pitching factor this year than he had in the fall season. Because last year he pitched 3 innings against the Trash Pandas and allowed 1 run in the World Series. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how this all shakes out. However, I am going to do it again. I've done it 2 times on the show before, and I've been correct both times. I am taking the LA Wolf Stuff OC to win this one, and I'm going to put. But you may not say, okay, that's kind of boring, and that's not a great prediction. But here's my prediction. The OC will become the first 1 seed ever to win the World Series, and they do so with an undefeated record. I have the LA Wolfsville C winning this in 2 games. Is my prediction.
Wow, that is...
So you may say for the home team. I'm putting myself out there on the line. And like I said, if I'm wrong, it's okay. People, I jab and poke fun at other people, and people poke a lot of fun at me. I have no issue at it. Take it all in good fun, unless you're actually telling me some stuff. It's like some serious stuff, and it's like, okay, relax. It's not that serious. But I think it's going to be a great pitching match. I think Blake Fitzgerald is going to be a guy who's going to do extremely well, and had his team. Or had if they were to win, I think he would be the MVP of the World Series. However, I'm going to predict the LA Wolfsville C with the mixture of Dustin Staggs, who is a nightmare for the Trash Pandas, and Stephen Hayden mixing in there on the mound, as well as Jordan Drexler. I think that matchup of those 3 is going to be very hard for the Trash Pandas to get runs. And then at the plate, Justin Lee's been extremely hot at the plate. Jordan's cooled down just slightly, but he still is ready for the playoffs. Dustin Staggs has seen any type of pitching and had a very successful World Series against the Trash Pandas last year. And then Dominic Caroni has had his moments as well. He's been big in the important games when needed. And then we all know with Stephen Hayden's like back-to-back MVP, I think he's very likely to win another award for this winter season. However, we will talk about that in a future podcast. Not the next one, but probably the one after that. I think just if that group of 5 is there, which I've heard there could be some. I hope especially if Dustin Stagg is there for both games. I think LA Wolf is supposed to finish the job off. And my bold prediction for this one, and we like to be bold here sometimes. You like to just see what you can do. But I've got the LA Wolf finishing off the World Series with an undefeated season. Your thoughts on that? And do you think that's a possibility?
I thought my ego was extremely inflated when I picked myself, and then the LA Wolfs OC to win in 3. But wow, in 2, going undefeated straight through, creating, not only breaking the curse, but second of all, going through an undefeated season without literally no losses in the playoffs is unheard of. The only time that's ever happened that I can think of is the 72 Dolphins. And that's not even wiffle ball.
Well, clearly.
Yeah. That's a very, very bold pick. But I like it. It's very entertaining. Obviously, I have to like it.
That's what we're about. The podcast. We're trying to be entertaining here. We're not. We're trying to make our predictions. Like I said, these are just predictions of our best educated guesses. However, we like to be entertaining as well, and sometimes you got to be a little bolder than what you may think.
Yeah, that's true. We can't just sit here and just pretend to be, I pick the LA Wolfs OC, robot type of thing, because you got to make it sound very exciting. I mean, other people I'm sure would be like, LA Wolfs OC, not that exciting. But if you put in that circumstance in the way we kind of put it through, I'm sure some people would make sense of it for sure. But yeah, those are my thoughts on your pick. I think it's very bold.
We shall see what happens. I know you didn't ask it, but for my educated guess for the World Series MVP, I talked about pitching wise. I think that would go down to Jordan Drexler. I think he would be getting his second co-MVP, and then offense wise, it could be very interesting. And if Jordan does well offensively, I could see him just winning the MVP by himself. I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure who I would choose offensively. It could be Justin Lee. It could be Stephen Hayden. It could be Dustin Staggs. Any of them could mix in for co MVP. Stevens won 2 co World Series MVPs, as Dustin has won the one, and Jordan's won the other. So we shall see what happens. But those have been our predictions for the 2023 Winter OC Wiffle Ball playoffs. And we shall see what happens. So just to give a little recap, because this has actually gone on a little longer than I thought it would. With the Purple League, you went with the Beach City Dingers, and I went with the Glizzy Gladiators. In D2, I went with the OC Juicers, and you went with Whoosh. And then for D1, we both went for the LA Wolves of OC. So we shall see what happens. If you disagree with us, bite me. But we have no issue if you disagree with it. And if we're wrong, like as we mentioned, it's okay that there's nothing wrong with being wrong sometimes. Sometimes when you're wrong, it's good to be wrong, but sometimes it's not. So you never know. But anyways, you got any last final thoughts before we close off this special episode, this midweek episode?
Obviously, this is a fairly long podcast, but obviously we do it for people who watch this kind of stuff. Obviously, good luck to everybody in the playoffs. If you don't make it, thank you for a great season. Hopefully, you guys come back. We said in the earlier podcast to all the other teams that did not make the playoffs, but if you wanted to stay around and watch playoffs or even show up to the World Series games, why not? I mean, what do you got to lose to? In that case, I mean, obviously you didn't make it to the World Series in that term, but yeah. Other than that,
you may have nothing to win, but you got nothing to lose, and that's all we care about.
That is true. And obviously, a great season. Love to see you guys back in the spring season, whenever that's coming around, and then try to make the good vibes out there. So just have a good time, play out there. Remember that we're here for fun and to really, show what we've got out there. So those are my final thoughts.
Yeah, no matter what, let's go out there, have some fun. Let's not take it too seriously. This isn't life or death out here, no matter what people think I look like out there. But some people I think I take way too seriously. I'm just out there to have fun and enjoy a sport I love playing, and I do love taking seriously. But out here, I get a little bit of a different vibe compared to when you're in the World Championships in New York, Pennsylvania. So it's a different atmosphere. It's a very fun atmosphere, and there are times when you want to have your most competitive stuff like out there in New York, like I've experienced, but there's not much of a better feeling than being out at the Great Park on a Tuesday night.
Yes, sir. Certainly so. Well, I guess that's going to be a wrap for this one. Episode 35/36-ish type of... We'll figure it out. But we'll see everybody tomorrow or whenever this basically comes out. I'm assuming it would be Thursday by the time we put this out. And then we'll have another podcast the following week to catch up on all the latest and who would be our picks for those award winners for the end of the season. And then we'll have some special guests like we always do after these playoff games. Get some people on here for the teams that obviously made it all the way through and got that good gold / award. In this case, it would be a bat or a plaque or whatnot. Stevie,
it's a bat.
There you go. There's the bat.
All the World Series winners get bats, like I mentioned earlier.
Perfect. Well, if you got nothing else to add, I think we're ready to go wrap this thing up and get this playoffs rolling.
This sounds good. Appreciate everybody listening in. This has been episode 36-ish of That Scuffed Up, special midweek episode, something we don't do very often, something that won't happen very often. We will see you guys later today for the semifinals or the league championship series of the playoffs. And good luck to all the teams still playing.
is that they're way over the top, right? And
welcome in special guest Ethan Lee.
all right, now we have to cut that part. Jesus Christ! What are you doing?
Does Ethan know?
Can you say something?
It's with the
We're in the
podcast
middle of a
right now.
recording, dude. Hurry up!
Sorry. All right. Good night.